First of all, thank you, Ms. Rosa Roy, for your hard work in putting this together. You have a packed house tonight, so thank you. Thanks to all of you who have come out to engage in civic activity. Thank you to Pastor Parks for facilitating and hosting us tonight. Why the City of South Fulton? Well, I have some information I'm going to pass out, but there are two major significant reasons that I'm going to share with you, talk to you about why we ought to do this. Representative Bruce talked about this movement that came from the north where they wanted to destroy Fulton County because they couldn't get their own county yet. And out of that desire for them to create a new county, and the efforts thus far have failed, they are trying to put pressure on us so that we can no longer have the option of staying unincorporated. Some time ago, for many years, I would say, we've had the option to be unincorporated, and that's what we have done. Many people moved to South Fulton unincorporated because they didn't want to be part of a city. That was an option, and that's a choice that we had then. But those options are rapidly dissipating. They're taking them away from us. One thing they did, Representative Bruce talked about the egregious thing that they've done insofar as making the tax commissioner no longer an elected official, but make him an appointed official. Yes, we had two of our commissioners have to run against each other. They have even said that they're going to put forth legislation that will force Fulton County to get out of the fire and police services business. And we get our fire and police services business from Fulton County right now. If they tell the county that they got to get out of that business, then something has to happen. We would have to be annexed into one of the surrounding cities in order to get fire and police protection, parks and recreation. Or we can create our own city, a city that's a small step from where we are, because we have our own police department, we have our own fire department, we have 524 park acres of developed land. We have an economic development team that's doing a sterling job. So we have all of the ingredients for a city. Don't let people tell you that we don't have the leadership, we're not smart enough, we weren't born on the right side of the tracks. Don't go for the okie doke. So number one is local control. Number two, it's about the money. In 2005, Sandy Springs finally became a city. Don't let people tell you that Sandy Springs planned for a city for 35 years. That would not be true. What would be true, however, is Sandy Springs wanted a city for 35 years. They wanted it for a long time. They tried to get the legislation, and they couldn't get it passed because the General Assembly, House and Senate, and the governor's mansion was occupied by Democrats who wouldn't let the legislation go forward. But when they took control of the House and the Senate and the governor's mansion, they relaxed rules and they broke rules in order to get their legislation through. So it wasn't a 30-year effort, it was about a 1-year effort. But it was about a 30, 35-year desire, okay? So we don't need to wait 30 years to do this. Now, if it was true that Sandy Springs worked for and planned for 35 years to create a city, then what's your response to Johns Creek and Milton? They didn't create their cities until 2006, a year after Sandy Springs. And Chad Hills, to our south, they created a city in 2006. So you see, it doesn't take 35 years of planning. So here's what they would tell you why they wanted to create a city. They wanted to keep their money in their community. That's what they will tell you. There probably are some other reasons, but I will talk about the money. When Sandy Springs became a city, they were then able to participate in the local option sales tax allocation. What that simply means, ladies and gentlemen, is no matter where you go shop in Fulton County, whether Alpharetta or Palmetto, Buckhead or Bankhead, or anywhere in between, if you spend $1, you're going to pay 7 cents on the dollar, unless you spend it in Atlanta. It's 8 cents on the dollar. And every month, the merchant must file a sales and use tax return form to account for the sales that they made during that reporting period, right? We got business owners in here, right? At the end of the year, the Department of Revenue would tally up all of the revenue that was sent to them from the sales and use tax allocation, right? Then, after they tally it up, they divvy those dollars back out to the respective cities that exist in Fulton County. And they dole those dollars out to the respective cities based upon your population. Here's the first pop quiz. If the money goes, the largest amount of money goes to the largest city in the county, who gets the largest share of the money in Fulton County? Atlanta, absolutely. Now, here's a little tidbit. If you were to create this city, we would be the 4th largest city in Fulton County. We would be the 9th largest city in the state of Georgia, ladies and gentlemen. We would not be some country bumpkin little town. This would be the real deal. Now, here's why your size matters. Well, first of all, according to the 2010 census, we have about 88,000 people in your new city. The unofficial number puts us around 120,000. But let's stick with the official numbers. 4th largest. So when the Department of Revenue called for a lineup for people to come and get their money, they call the City of Atlanta. They get their money. They call Sandy Springs, which is just a skosh bigger than we are, at about around 91,000. So they get the second largest slice of the pie. Third, behind Sandy Springs, come Roswell. They're number 3. And then they call for number 4. Number 4 stepped right up. That would be us. Oh, I'm sorry. You're not a city. So you don't get, for 2013, you don't get that $22 million to spend on your fine police, parks, and recreation. So what would have come to you to spend in your local community goes to the Fulton County General Fund, and those dollars are spent all over the county. So here's what they said when they created this city. They want to keep their money in their community. I submit to you that I want to keep our money in our community. $22 million, ladies and gentlemen. That's just from the local option sales tax money. That doesn't include franchise fees from cable companies and cell phone companies, who, when they come onto your right-of-way, they got to pay for that. When you consider the franchise fees and local option sales tax dollars, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about over $25 million. In 2013, it was $22 million. Let's stay with the local option sales tax dollars. It was $22 million in 2013. At the same time, because we didn't have enough money being generated in unincorporated South Fulton, we had to raise the millage rate. And I commend it. We had to do it, ladies and gentlemen, in order to have the level of services that we now enjoy. We had to raise the millage rate from 10.4 to 12.4. At the same time that we're giving away over $20 million a year. Really? For real? We're better than that. Since 2007, when we said no to Cityhood, we have given away over $100 million. Those people said they want their money in their community. You know what they did? They took their money and they went home. It's our time. So it's about local control. It's about keeping your money at home. And we're going to be the best in-class new city, period. Amen. We can do this, ladies and gentlemen. Let me conclude by saying this. Eyes haven't seen, ears haven't heard. It hasn't even really entered in the heart of us what we can really accomplish when we put our shoulders together, our minds together, and make this happen. It may not be called the City of South Fulton, but neither was Atlanta called Atlanta in its early stages. About 100 years ago, it was called Marthasville. And before then, it was called something else. I don't remember what it's called. So let's not get, Terminus. I understand why they changed the name. Okay? And some people may say, I don't like the City of South Fulton because it's a bad connotation. Because the news people always say, what happened in South Fulton? Well, we decided to call it South Fulton. They would have to stop saying it happened in South Fulton unless it happened in South Fulton. If it happened in East Point, say East Point. Say Union City. But when something good happens, I want you to say it happened in the best in-class new city, and they did it on their own. I yield the floor.